What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to talk about the Elementalist build in patch 10.1, the patch that we're in right now, and how is it doing with the new patch, the new gear, and particularly how's it doing with the new tier set bonus. That's one thing we're going to take a look at. I'm going to show you the talents and kind of how it all worked out. Does it work in a dungeon situation still? Mythic Plus is primarily what we're kind of focused on. I'm not talking about single target. It's mostly just about Mythic Plus. So let's get into the Elementalist build and see if it still works. I just ran a Underrot 19. I'll show you footage of that in a minute. And it went really well. I was really rusty on this build. And I do want to say at the outset that of all the builds that you can run as Enhancement Shaman, the Elementalist build is by far the most complicated. And some people might laugh at that or whatever, but don't listen to what anybody says. This is a very complicated build. Not don't listen to what anybody says, but if people are laughing at you because they don't think it's complicated, it is, okay? The reason is because you have to do basically 3 steps, and you have multiple cooldowns that you have to set up. Now with the new tier set bonus, you have a Sundering window that you have to use, and you have to do 2 Chain Lightnings after your Sundering window because of the 4-piece bonus. You also want to do a Primordial Wave window, and you want to make sure you get as many 6 Flame Shocks out so you can get a bunch of Lightning Bolts off to cleave. So if you're doing those things like at the same time, it can get very complicated in your brain. All the while, you need to be pressing Frost Shock as much as possible to cash in on the Hailstorm damage. So like, there are multiple parts of this build that have gotten a little bit more complicated now because of the tier set bonus. Let's see what the tier set bonus does, right? Of course, Sundering increases your mastery. Well, that's going to increase your Frost Shock damage. It's going to increase your Lava Lash damage, your Flame Shock damage, your Crash Lightning damage, your Chain Lightning damage. It's going to buff everything, right? It's all about this build. So, mastery is really, really good. And then Sundering increases your physical and fire damage dealt by 20%, and your next 2 Chain Lightnings deal double damage and refund Maelstrom. So, it's just good in general for this build. Mastery is good, of course, and then on top of that, you're getting the extra Chain Lightning damage and the extra fire damage. We can see in the overall here, my Lava Lash and my Flame Shock damage were huge in this dungeon because of the extra Sundering buff, and Frost Shock was up there as well, Mastery buffing everything. It's really, really good, but I do want to harp on the fact that it is a little bit complicated to play, and don't feel like you're a dummy if you're having a hard time figuring out this build, because it is the most complicated to play. I made lots of mistakes in the dungeon footage I'm about to show you, so just keep that in mind. This is the talent tree. This is what it's going to look like here. You've got Hailstorm right here. You're going into Hot Hand, Ashen Catalyst, and Lashing Flames. Lashing Flames does demand that you tab target through enemies to get extra Flame Shock damage. That's why my Flame Shock damage is 14% of my damage. It's because I'm tab targeting to get the Lashing Flames debuff on enemies to deal lots of damage. Then, of course, you've got the Primordial Wave window. Disgusting. Make sure you've got your Wolves out first because it does generate 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon when you press Primordial Wave, and that's going to cool down your dogs because of Witch Doctor's ancestry. Then we also have the new Sundering window, of course, that's coming in with the tier set bonus like I described before. So, I'm not entirely sure even how to play this, how you want to execute this. There's probably better people for this build. I have not played the Elementalist build in like several months, so I'm not my muscle memory is all in the Storm build now. So, but ideally you're going to want to do your Wolves first, okay? Then do Primordial Wave, then spread it around, and then before you detonate your Lightning Bolt, make sure you press Sundering, because Sundering gives you 24% more mastery. That's going to buff your Lightning Bolt damage. So let's just see what it kind of looks like here on the dummies really quick. So we go Wolves, Primordial Wave. Going to spread it around. Then we're going to go Sundering into Lightning Bolt. And then we go. Okay, and then we're trying to get a Frost Shock. Want to make sure we Frost Shock. We get a big haste window. Tab target through enemies. Another Spender into a Frost Shock. Tab target through enemies. Tab target, tab target. Ice Strike Wolves into the Frost Shock. Now we're kind of slowed down. You can see we peaked at like 500k there. So if you're executing this build properly, it's really disgusting the amount of damage that you can kind of pull off. Now, this is never going to look like this in a Mythic Plus environment because Mythic Plus is very complicated. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to kind of pay attention to. But one thing that's really, really good about this tier set bonus compared to last season's tier set bonus is that we don't have to worry about pressing Storm Strike anymore because it's not tied to our tier set. Last season's tier set was tied to Storm Strike. which meant we had to weave in a bunch of Storm Strikes, which was just not very good for this build because you can see I'm not pressing Storm Strike very much at all. It's mostly Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Lava Lash, and then of course the Ice Strikes, Frost Strike stuff, Frost Shock, sorry, as well. So this is kind of what your damage is going to look like. My damage did not look this good in the dungeon because I failed to press Frost Shock as much as I should have been. In the overall, watch the damage numbers change in the overall. Frost Shock goes down a little bit, and everything else kind of goes up. I didn't play it perfectly. I didn't get my Frost Shocks going as quickly as I should have. Let me just grab the dungeon footage really quickly for you guys, and we're just going to dive right into it, okay? Right here. Let's just dive right in and look at the Underrot. So we'll see here, again, I want to emphasize that I did not play this build very well. By the end of the dungeon, I could have been doing probably 120 or 130k overall. I ended up at like 102, 103. We have a really unfortunate opener here where the worm doesn't get CC'd and we all die. So luckily I didn't pop Lust yet. You want to Lust on this first pull. It was looking kind of bleak, but it's okay. We jump in with Lust. Again, I'm just trying to get my bearings here. I got my Lava Lash going. There's my big Primordial Wave Lightning Bolt going out, and we're starting to catch up in damage. But this first pull is basically a wash because we died and weren't able to get any of our damage out. So it's okay. We'll recover. We'll keep going. Not a big deal. It is nice, as with most Enhancement Shaman builds, you have damage on every single pack because you have such low cooldowns, right? Primordial Wave and Sundering are a 45-second and a 40-second cooldown, respectively. So they're always going to have lots of damage, right? You're never going to be lacking with damage. Every single pack, you're going to have damage. Now, yeah. Again, right now, I have a Chain Lightning that's waiting to go off. And again, I want to really emphasize that it can be kind of confusing trying to do the Sundering window, which demands that you press Chain Lightning, versus the Primordial Wave window, which demands that you press Lightning Bolt to get the cleave, right? So I press Sundering right now. I still have a Lightning Bolt in the chamber that I needed to get rid of. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. I can do my Chain Lightnings right now. My Primordial Wave is coming, though. So I want to get my Wolves out first. Wolves are out. Then I press Primordial Wave, and I spread it around. Lightning Bolt. I still think do I have a Chain Lightning that needs to go off here? I don't think so. I think I've done this part correctly. So we're good to go. I finally did it right. 160k. The healer dies. We were struggling in the opener here quite a bit, but our damage is solid. 175k, 180k on this pack. It's actually fine. Here comes some boss damage. This is like, obviously, single target until it turns into two-target cleave. I did not really do single target damage very well. I'll admit that. Again, I'm holding onto a Chain Lightning. I need to get rid of this Chain Lightning, and I'm having a hard time generating Maelstrom weapon stacks. So I feel like with this build, that's one of its weaknesses, is that you really struggle to generate Maelstrom weapon stacks in single target. I think, like, in AoE, there's really no problem at all. It would be disingenuous of me to say that you have a hard time generating Maelstrom weapon stacks in AoE. You just don't. You don't. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do it. But anyway, I got my 2 Flame Shocks out, and I'm doing Chain Lightning a little bit here. Got to watch out for the Creeping Rod. I don't know if I die here. I think he dies. I don't think I die on this fight. The next fight is a disaster. Here's my Sundering window. Again, I only have 4 stacks of Maelstrom weapon right now, and I'm desperately trying to get a 5th one so I can get an instant cast Lightning Bolt. There's my Frost Shock. Finally, I have a 5th one. Then I can use my Spender, and then I got to build up my Maelstrom weapon stacks again. So our damage is just kind of suffering. I don't know if this is typical. Let me know, for you guys who have been playing the Elementalist build a lot, I would love to know from you, is it difficult to do damage on single targets still? Is that something you're struggling with, or do you feel like that has been fixed? Do you feel like if you execute it properly that it actually ends up being just fine? I would love to hear from you guys in those comments because, again, I am less familiar with this build now. I've played the Storm build for like 50 dungeons straight. So I just, you know, I'm having a hard time with that. Okay? So we got our Primordial Wave window going. I got my Sundering window going, and our damage gets up above 200k. Just like that, 240k. Really, really good damage. It's awesome. The tier set bonus works very well in conjunction with this Elementalist build. It's absolutely fine because you're getting, even though you're getting a physical and a fire bonus from the tier set bonus, you're doing a lot of fire damage. My Flame Shocks are spreading. I'm getting hot hand procs right now. I got one, so I'm tab targeting with my Lava Lash right now, trying to get as many procs on Lashing Flames as I can to make sure that my damage spreads out there. So it's just good. The tier set bonus is just really good for it. So our damage is always hovering around 200k. There it is right there, 200k. every pack is basically like that. Right here, we're starting at 60k. They're suddenly we're at 170k. Boom, we're up to 220k. Like, every pack is going to look like exactly the same as long as you can gather up all these enemies. Here's another pack right here. We have a Primordial Wave and Sundering. I choose to do Primordial Wave first. Boom, get my haste window going. And then I'm into my Sundering going on right now. Big damage. Again, 120k here. Once I get those chain lightnings going, we'll probably get to 150k. I'm tab targeting with lightning, Lava Lash. Sorry. There you go. We're at about 150k for this pack. So this is kind of what you can expect. Here's Kragmaw. This damage is really awful because he runs around a lot. We didn't do the best job at picking up the ads, so this was just a really tough fight. We're okay at the beginning here. 80k in my opener. Not bad. Without Lust, it's actually not bad at all, but it's going to go way downhill just because he moves around a lot, right? So let me just get right to the end here. Our damage is not bad, though. 70, 80, back up to 80k by the end. So I think we're probably cheesing a little bit on the ticks, but actually on this fight, if you don't kill the ticks, everybody dies. So it's not actually cheese at all. Not bad for, I'm kind of getting the hang of the build. Here's the next set here. One thing that was really impressed upon me was needing to get that first Lava Lash into a Flame Shock so that it spreads my Flame Shocks around. If I failed to do that, I found that my damage just went right off a cliff. It was so bad. So, again, up to 200k. Very familiar sight. 200k once again on this pack. This pack, 2-target cleave. How do we do here? 120k, 130k. Not bad at all. Here's the next boss fight here. This is Spore Caller Zancha. Another tough fight because I get the mechanic like 3 times in a row here, which really kind of wrecks my damage. I want to make sure I'm being responsible about this. So Flame Shock, Frost Shock. I can do a Chain Lightning, but I'm trying to be really careful here. I don't want to brick the key. I'm just being really cautious, but my damage kind of goes in the toilet. You do have some range damage tools. Here I get the mechanic once again, back to back. You know, you do have Frost Shock, you have Lightning Bolt, you have Flame Shock that you can press, you can summon your wolves. There are some tools here, but it's a little bit frustrating. So, yeah, we're just going to skip him just because I get the mechanic quite a bit. He ends up dying. I only did 44k overall. Really, really bad. So I could have done a lot better there. I felt like if I didn't get the mechanic like 3 or 4 times in a row, it might have been better. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled, unfortunately. 2-target cleave. We were settling at 100k there. I got to get the mechanic here, the Afflicted. Here we go. Wolves into Crash Lightning. Spread my Flame Shock around. Here we go. Primordial Wave. And we're off to the races. I'm trying to just get myself set up. I'm so slow at it. I'm trying to do Primordial Wave, then the Lightning Bolt, because we want it in the Sundering window. Boom. Now we're doing 100k just like everybody else. I'm tab targeting through to get the Flame Shock on enemies. You can see their raid frames are lighting up. Their little health bars there every time I'm tabbing through. I tried pressing my stun, but they're all immune because of raging. So that was a big waste. So again, I'm not doing a very good job at getting the window, my damage window going quickly. I need to get it going right away. So this is something that I can improve on. If you're wondering how to do more damage, get the Primordial Wave out there. Get the Lightning Bolts going. You have to get that haste window rolling right away, or else it ends up being a bit of a disaster. You can't really get your damage going. Okay? Here's the last boss fight. We actually have 9 minutes left. I thought we were going to be like in trouble here, but we had 9 minutes. So not bad at all. Get my wolves out right now. Into a Lava Lash. Here comes the Vile Explosion. I do have Lava Lash just coming off cooldown. You want to keep pressing Lava Lash. This is most of your damage on boss fights is getting those huge Lava Lashes in. I get a Primordial Wave window going here. Want to do Sundering first before I detonate that Lightning Bolt, because again, you get 24% mastery. Really, really good for that Lightning Bolt. Okay? Lava Lash again. I'm struggling to understand how to generate Maelstrom weapon stacks when I'm on a single target. So something else for me to work on. Again, commenters down below, help me out here. Is it about the Frost Shock that I'm probably not pressing enough? I feel like it's probably about the Frost Shock. So let me know how you generate more Maelstrom weapon stacks on a single target. That would be very helpful for me. It's just something that I'm forgetting how to do really well. Again, I've only tried this build like actually once, and it's been in a couple of months since I've tried it. So cut me a little bit of slack here, but again, I do want to hear from you guys down below. You guys who have really mastered the Elementalist build, please let me know what you're doing to generate Maelstrom weapon stacks in a single target fight. Would love to hear that. Okay, so again, nothing crazy going on here. We end up just playing very safe, very cautiously. I'm holding on to my racial because I can actually get rid of this disease that's on us with my racial. But the monk healer was doing a great job, so I'm just chilling with it until I desperately need it in a bad situation. Otherwise, I would have popped it just for the agility, but I'm just saving it in case of an emergency situation. So that's why I'm doing that. There we go. We timed the key. I do end up doing 102K overall. Could have done more, but again, we talked about the problem, highlighted the problems that I was making in the key. I don't want you guys to make the same problem. So make sure that you're getting your frost shocks out there as much as you possibly can, and make sure you're getting your damage windows going quickly. Sundering, Primordial Wave, those damage windows, they need to be up and running very, very quickly at the beginning of a fight to get your damage to kind of carry on, to get up to those 300, 400, 500K marks that we were showing on the dummies, okay? So here's your damage. Chain Lightning, Frost Shock, Flame Shock. Frost Shock should probably be like 3rd or 2nd. It should be way up here. It should be above Lava Lash and probably above Lightning Bolt. I would put it 3rd. But again, my mistake. So just so you guys know, this is what your damage should kind of look like, except Frost Shock should be up a little bit higher. All right? Elementalist build. Does it work with the new tier set bonus in 10.1? Yes, it totally works fine, guys. This is a build that you can, if you really fell in love with this build in the beginning of the expansion, you can keep doing it into 10.1. With the new tier set bonus, it really buffs it a lot, gives it lots of damage. So there you go. If you're wondering about that, now you know. It works very, very well. That was a plus 19 key, so very relevant right now. I didn't even execute very well, and we still timed the key pretty well. So that's your cue that you know this build will work for you in the future. All right? Thank you guys so much again for watching. Please, once again, let me know in those comments down below how I can fix some of my mistakes, what you're doing on the Elementalist build. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Love you all. I will see you in the next one.